evening and welcome to Corporate News.
Oi, chummers!
I am here with Cromwell. I wasn't quite sure if it was Cromwell or Tony for a moment, so I figured I'd let him say hello.
Who's this Tony person?
He's from long ago, possibly one of your ancestors.
Oh, right, Fifth World chummer.
That's
He's
true.
handsome.
Hello, Defender. We've got chat up and running. Yes, I am wearing my elf ears. Cromwell has got his troll hat on.
Right, lots of trolls with these hats.
It's true. So we're here to recap last week's episode to start things off.
All right, chummers. Well, here's how it went down. You may know the governor of the Seattle Metroplex is this Brackenhaven guy. Lots of history with him. He's not really what's it matter here. What's it matters is one-time opponent. It's election season in your fifth world. It's always election season in the sixth world. Not that anyone's vote counts. So a while ago there was an election, and this woman, Josephine, let's see, how do we say it? Jugavili. See, the main problem is no one could say her name. The other problem is she was accused of having apes, which is a sort of disease you could get after the Matrix crash. Anyway, long story short, she's still around. Lots of people like her. In fact, after all the anti-meta-human stuff and all that goes on in Seattle, she's kind of a spokesperson for us meta-humans. Well, the Draco Foundation has hired us to protect her. Now, you should know who the Draco Foundation is. If you remember, quite a few years ago, there was a dragon named Dunkelzahn, went off the Big N, took a hit, died, and a mysterious explosion left a will. First dragon to do so. The Draco Foundation's the people what administers his will. Now, why a dead dragon wants Infect to protect a meta-human friendly failed candidate is beyond me, all I have to say. But we takes the job, and we did our best to infiltrate a town hall. See, there's this gang.
I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second. Casium Flame, thank you very much for the new subscription.
All right.
Do go on.
Welcome. So anyhow, here's how we went about it. There's this gang, what's name is the Troll Killers, and they are not a gang of killer trolls. They're in fact a gang of humans who like killing trolls, or trying to. We think maybe they've got a bunch of grenades and they're gonna take her out in town hall. So, I infiltrated it as a cook. And I'm not even pretending I'm quite a good cook. About 10 times a better cook than that human Joe. But don't tell him I said it. But outside of that, I was just sitting there doing cook business, looking around, and the rest of the team tried to get in by legitimate means. And as it tends to happen with Shadowrunners, and especially Infect, legitimate means failed to get us in. So they came in the normal Infect way by forcing their way in through the top door. As we were about to wrap things up, someone with guns came into the top floor, and from what I understand, Fang has stabbed one of them through the bottom part of his head. Of course, we don't really know if they're the baddies or they're not, so that's what we're waiting to find out.
Oh no, so through his head, meaning he's probably quite dead now?
It wasn't clear. I mean, sometimes, you might have a little bit of skin left holding the head on, and sometimes you can just sort of plop it back on and call Doc Wagon, and, it might not be too late.
Right, so this governor candidate, right? She's running for governor, and for some reason Draco Foundation wants you to protect her.
Right, they hired us to do it, because we's the best at what we does, and what we does is not always that great.
Excellent. So if we've got a little time for some possible questions, if anyone has any about the Shadowrun verse in general, about the run that they're on, or about Cromwell himself, please feel free to put that into chat. We have somebody asking, Bob the Ninja Goldfish would like to know about your recent adventures with a cyber deck.
Alright, get this, chummers. I decided, this mainframe, she seems pretty effective with a cyber deck, so why don't I get one myself? So I gets one off Craig's Point BBS, which isn't always the most reputable place to get stuff, but I got one there. It doesn't come with a manual. So I just figured I don't need it. Now, in the meantime, I accidentally poisoned a Yakuza agent with a little bit of Gila monster. He wanted to eat it. Or maybe I didn't quite cut off the right pieces. I poisoned him. I needed a way to look it up. So I tries to use the cyber deck. It turns out you need a fragging hole in your head to use one of them. Oh, I tried all sorts of things. Anyway, it started buzzing. Next thing you know, the Yakuza, Dark Wagon, and an HTC Overwatch team. HTC, they're the ones that make the Vive. An HTR, Eye Threat Response team, shows up. All at the same time, they're fighting each other. I didn't even get paid for cooking the Gila monster. So, I guess I'm not going to be much of a decker, not until I gets it all in my head, and that's something I tries to avoid.
So, in theory, I mean, worst case scenario, you have a solid club, right?
A solid, yes.
Deck.
Generally, yeah, the different kind of decking, one I prefer.
Fair enough.
I see some congratulations. I'm going to break character because I would like to make it clear that Elsie and Cromwell are not an age-appropriate relationship.
There we go. Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it just yet. Yes, Tony and Janine.
Yes.
Have gotten engaged. Congratulations, of course.
Thank you.
Important to note, Cromwell and Miss Elsie, not at all in a relationship.
Definitely
not.
not.
An age-appropriate relationship by any stretch. However, Tony and Janine, very much so.
Yes, but thank you.
But the sentiment is good. The sentiment overall is quite good.
Right. All right, chummers. Well, any other questions? Where did Cromwell meet Elsie? He was butlering. To answer another question, of course, being adept helps being a butler. What, lifting couches and moving things around, running up walls, all the sorts of things a butler does. I met Elsie while being a butler, but the rest of the story is not really mine to share, because being a butler means you keep your mouth shut.
Always a good lesson or a good quality in a butler, definitely. All the hypes and the hearts are for you, I believe.
Right. And I am always, when it comes to infect, I am always a little bit nervous.
Question. I'm getting confused. Where are you from again?
Cromwell or Tony?
Yeah.
I'm from Britain, of course, London.
London, Britain.
Right, in the island one, in the city.
Just checking.
Where there's castles and... why does nobody ever believe me?
And on that note, thank you very, very much for joining us. I think you can go give Zach a hard time in return for the one that he just gave you. And I will move on to the corporate war updates.
All right, chummers, keep your hats on.
Thank you very much. All right, so how the show is mine. No. So we have a lot of updates. A lot more things took place last week in the corporate wars. Yes, Cromwell is from New England. That makes sense. That is something that I find to be very believable. Right. So, no, Pete, you're too late. If I am already in chat, it makes it kind of hard for me to add your statement to the document. I apologize, but no, you were too late. So, first off, we start by looking at the official numbers for who gets what. Alright, so we start with Shiawase at the top. Once again with 20 action points this week. Evo follows behind with only 14 comparatively. Seder Krupp behind them at 11. Ares and Renraku both have 9 action points this week, while Az Technology and Mitsuhama have 8. Horizon, Neonet, and Wuxing trail behind with 7 points. So we've still got pretty big disparity there with Shiawase in the lead. It'll be interesting to see how corporations start treating them when one corp starts to pull out ahead on that. However, the market segments are a different story. The overall market share, we have Horizon in the lead with a total of 157.4 billion. So even though Shiawase is in the lead with action points, Horizon seems to be using what few they have to better ends, as they've increased their market share far more than anyone else. Wuxing not actually that far behind them with 156.7 billion nuyen, and the others behind around 154 million or lower individually. Only Mitsuhama and Ares have had a net loss since the beginning of the Corp Wars, with Ares at 149.8 and Mitsuhama at 146.8. So both of them trailing a bit. Some interesting things happened over the last week, and that actually ties in with why Mitsuhama is a little bit further behind than some of the other corps. One of the things that took place over the course of the last week, or rather during the purchasing segment of the last week, was that Horizon and Mitsuhama came to an interesting agreement in which Horizon acquired all of Mitsuhama's media subsidiary in exchange for their own aerospace subsidiary. While this does little to affect the aerospace segment, it means that Horizon Media now accounts for more than 6 times the value of each of its individual remaining competitors. So they've condensed the segments a little bit into fewer corporations. Basically, what happened is Horizon has bought up one of their smaller competitors and merged it into their media subsidiary, while giving Mitsuhama their own aerospace. Mitsuhama wasn't already involved in aerospace, so it didn't quite benefit them as much, though there was also an exchange of action points involved in that. The longer term gains of those are a little bit harder to see right now, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the future going forward with that consolidation in media versus the expansion of Mitsuhama's portfolio. In addition to that, Ares invested in their shipping subsidiary with a catastrophic failure last week, losing a massive 22% of their market share. Perhaps fortunately for them, however, the corporation that attempted espionage on them shares their fate. They do not lose the same percentage, but they do also have a catastrophic failure. Now, if they had had an amazing success, the corporation committing espionage against them would have also had a massive success, and roles would have been according to that. But since it was a catastrophic failure, the espionage attempted also results in a catastrophic failure, and roles are according to that. So I'm not going to say what that percentage loss is. I have conveyed that information to the corporation at fault, almost, we'll say. But for now, that remains a mystery. Renraku Robotics had a fair bit of success in their research, seeing an 11% increase in their market share, while Wuxing's energy subsidiary performed research that increased their market share by a hefty 24%. Now, these sound like they're large numbers. Percentage-wise, they certainly are, but in the end, it ends up being 1, 2, or 3 billion nuyen in gain, which, compared to the larger market segments, is not a huge amount. Percentage-wise is Almost more important, though, for that long-term growth. You want to keep hitting the smaller ones and building them up and getting these 24, 22, or so on % increases, and until you are one of the big contenders again. That's just how business works. Shiwase also released a statement following a thwarted attack on their medicine and pharmaceuticals sector. They had this to say. Armed gunmen attempted to blow up Margaret Bridge Child Health Hospital in Tacoma, Seattle. Luckily, Shiwase Security Services forces were able to stop the attack with no casualties among the children or their caregivers. Those responsible will be found. Remember, Shiwase cares about our children because Shiwase is happiness. Ares Law Enforcement Branch has also decided last week to deploy more knight-errant officers on many of Seattle's streets in a bid to make the public feel a bit safer. Whether or not those will result in success remains to be seen. They've definitely upped their security. Whether the result is citizens feeling safer, we're not so sure. Seder Krupp had some successful research last week, in their heavy industry sector, where they developed a product called the Ripley, that is model SK-TL1, and their marketing statement is, ever feel like the team you hired to guard your dock workers isn't up to snuff? Seder Krupp is proud to unveil a new line in cargo handling machinery. With this entirely new model line, your workers will have the extra protection from reinforced armor and the benefits of a small caliber arms with high capacity magazines. The unit features adjustable pilot harness, one size fits most, interchangeable barrels and magazines, a single-shot semi-automatic and full auto settings, reinforced steel plate armor, comes in bright construction site yellow or matte black finish, and is fully electric power source with reinforced Kevlar hydraulic hosing. Now, when this piece of machinery comes to market remains to be seen, but it is known that it has benefited, that Seder Krupp has benefited from that successful research and plans to release this product in the near future. EvoCorp's biotech division has announced a groundbreaking new tissue enhancement technology designed for both metahumans and humans alike this past week. Flex Technology fibrofilament ligament enhancement xenografts using cutting-edge genetic modification technologies combined with advanced synthetics. This ligament replacement solution is perfect for those using cybernetic limbs that require additional strength to perform at their full potential, or simply for aspiring athletes that want that leg up on the competition where allowed. Evo, changing lives because we care. And that is all that I have for the news at the moment, although I believe we may have something late breaking that I'm going to check for right now, and I don't see it, so we don't. Perhaps if there are questions about the corporate wars, I can spend the next 10 minutes or so answering those, and we'll take things from there. So if you have questions about the corporate metagame known as Corp Wars, please feel free to post those into chat, and I will do my best to answer them. In the meantime, let me take another look at how do you win by playing. You win by being a subscriber, joining our Discord, and choosing your corporation. That is primarily how you win. The corporate metagame, I will give an overview. Why are you so cool? I can't really answer that one. Good genetics? Proper upbringing? Who knows? Just plain being Elven? I don't know. So, giving a brief overview for those of you that are not familiar with what exactly the corporate war is, it is our metagame built up around the game of Shadowrun Corporate Sins. And of course, Shadowrun Corporate Sins is our role-playing game with some wonderful, wonderful people from the Seattle area that covers the trials and tribulations of a group calling themselves Mfek. And the Corporate Wars metagame is built around this RPG campaign here on Twitch, such that in the very near future, you will be able to interact with the game itself through your subscriptions, through your gratuities to the channel, using a hashtag that is relevant to the corporation of your choosing. So doing these things, either being a subscriber in our Discord and aligning yourself to a corporation, or pushing through tips and gratuities using the appropriate hashtag, these gain your corporation influence. They gain them, and that influence converts into action points. Action points then can be used for a variety of things, whether it's performing research in industry segments relevant to your corporation, or attacking another corporation's subsidiary who's perhaps a competitor for your own. You could do that. You could do espionage. You can hire our Shadowrunner team. You can hire MFEC to do a run for you, for your corporation. There are countless actions that you could take, and that list is only going to expand over time. Eventually, this all gains you market share in each of these in different subsidiaries of your corporations. Very soon, we will be able to unveil a system where you can spend your market share in a particular segment to take various actions that have an impact in the Shadowrun game of Shadowrun Corporate Sins. So, within the next few weeks, you will be able to spend your market subsidiary share or a portion of it to impact the game that you see on camera in just under 10 minutes. So, it's a really, really interesting thing that nobody else is doing on Twitch right now, that few would even have the capabilities of doing. So it's a really cool thing that we're really excited to bring you. Would it be spending market share or spending money with it? I'm not sure within it. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but I'll try and clarify what I mean, and hopefully that'll answer the question. So Horizon, for example, has around 97 billion nuyen in market share in media. They would be able to spend, say, for example, and this is just an example, I want to emphasize that, just an example, 25 million, or billion, 25 of that 97 billion nuyen to get a commercial that airs periodically throughout the some of our other shows, or would give them the ability to post a link to their corporate website in our chat whenever they like, that sort of a thing. That means that their market share would then go from 97 billion to 72 billion nuyen, minus 97 minus the 25. So they would then be rolling based on that new amount. Yes, just to reiterate, as Alien Knitter says, these numbers are purely markups. These are numbers I just made up on the spot, not actually going to be the way the number is in the game. Yes, exactly so. We made a lot more work for ourselves to bring you all a lot more fun. Hopefully, that's the plan. And if it's I was going to word things one way, let me word it another. we are always receptive to your feedback. If there are things that you want to see in the corporate metagame or in any of our shows, do reach out. We are always receptive to positive or constructive feedback and criticisms. So feel free to send those our way. If there is something that you would love to see in the game, feel free to send that our way. If you have your own ideas, we are open. And of course, if you have questions, I may have missed a couple going by, but do toss them back into chat. Make sure you tag either Anna, that's my name, or HyperRPG, and I will more easily be able to see it. But if you have questions, do feel free to put them into chat right now. We are getting pretty close to game time, so how do I choose a corp? Well, talk to the different moderators. They'll be able to guide you a little bit, help you find the right corp for you. All of them are always looking for more subscribers, so you'll have to choose wisely. Care to comment on Zach joining Shiwase? No, I don't. I would say it's not particularly official, him joining Shiwase. We can perhaps have a conversation about it later. Can you animate the wolf blade? No, I can't. Ryan, go to Discord. Yes, join our Discord. Talk to the moderators. They'll be able to get you into the Discord, and then they'll be able to guide you from there and help you choose your appropriate corporation. If Zach can join a corp, can we recruit an elf or two? If the elf is me, unfortunately not, because I am running the corporate meta game. I would say if you want to join a corp and you want to have fun, join one of the underdogs. Shiwase doesn't need your help. That's like joining Shiwase is like playing on easy mode. You only really join them if you don't feel like getting your hands dirty. So perhaps join one of the smaller corporations like Renraku or Neonet, who are a little bit smaller. Join Ares. Ares is a good one as well. And I am being told that we can take you live to the actual main event now. Thank you all very much for joining me in Corporate Wars, and I will see you at the end of Corporate Sins when we do the rolls for all of the corporate purchases for the week. Have fun.
The world has changed.